mandatory retirement. Okay. At any rate, so we are all here today to listen to our invited speakers, and thank you so much, sirs, for coming. We're looking forward to this. Only very few of our students are here, but I'm sure this will be full of information, sharing. So while we listen, maybe our students also will have the opportunity to interact and raise your questions. That will make our seminar more interactive and more substantive. So, in that note, some students are still coming. Welcome to our seminar. Thank you so much. This is part of our plan to pursue, to build the competence of our students. As we always believe that not all learnings could be obtained from textbooks or in the four walls of the classrooms. We get information from others, from outside, and bring it in the classroom. And this is one of the events. And MPH, so this is one of the exhibits that we can show later on when we undergo some assessment of our program. We are facing a bigger challenge for our university, my dear students. Do you know that? So maybe I can. We're not bragging, but we are on this process so that you will know. Soon, and we have already started our journey to be participates in the QS World University Ranking. So we are going to undergo World University Ranking. We're building the status of the university. We have already built this infrastructure, this magnificent structure. We continue to improve, to enrich, to provide quality, enhance the quality of our program, our curriculum in this university. And let us see how we will be able to respond to the world ranking, as this will be our opportunity to participate in this exercise. With that note, again, I welcome you all, and good day to everyone. Of course, I have not mentioned my friend as the Dean of the Faculty of Business, Dr. Tadsol. Whenever Dr. Tadsol has an activity, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, he will always start me along with him to provide support. Or I don't know if he's inspired, but since we worked together when he joined the university, so we just continue that kind of relationship.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, Dr. Diaz is our learned, our advisor of the MPH. Professor Ananya is also with us. Professor Ananya, welcome to our university. From where are you? You look Japanese?
From Thailand.
Thailand! Sawadee-ka. Okay. So, Thailand used to be my second home. Yes, after Bangladesh. But since I am already here for the last 16 years, so it becomes my second home. And Thailand is my third home. Because I work in Thailand, in UNESCO, in the regional office in Guam, Sukhumvit. So that's it. Thank you, and good day to everyone.
Thank you, George sir. I would like to invite Professor Tajul Islam, Dean, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, to say a few words about our seminar. Maybe we can start and then the sir can end. Should we start the seminar? Oh, okay. So Professor Daryl is going to present at first. I'm going to hand it to him.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Charles, for the kind welcome and introduction. It's nice to be back here. Welcome to all the students. We had our first joint workshop with American University of Sovereign Nations and American International University of Bangladesh. And the MPH students with a different batch of students. So some of the same faculty. And it's a great pleasure to be back. We have a lot of people in a short time. We're going to present different aspects of the theme of bioethics, indigenous knowledge, and global public health. Love of life is a gift that we receive when we're born into this world is love. This is the essential human value for the 21st century, as it was for every century in the past. While love is a gift that a few are deprived of, and it is fed as a deprivation which in itself is an insult to humanity, but our flesh and bodies. It is a norm for all forms of life, for a new life to be given a good start. The ultimate gift that we can share with others is also love. And you are studying public health and the provision of health and other forms that are based on the foundation of beneficence, which is love. New technology has been a catalyst for re-examination of medical ethics and social ethics, and international dialogue on ethical principles. So we have fields such as medical ethics, dental ethics, environmental ethics, public health ethics, applied ethics, ethics of biotechnology. Did you enjoy your courses on ethics so far? Yes. Are you ethical people?
Yes.
Good luck. Okay, that's good. Bioethics is the love of life. Loving good and self-love. Love of others and love of life. How do we balance self-love with the love of others? How much are we going to spend on ourselves and on our society? These are classic questions of ethics. And it's the difference between medical ethics, which is often individual-centered, and public health ethics, which is working for the whole public. There's a long heritage seen in biology, medicine, society, and religion. We have different cultures and traditions which have promoted this. They started in different local communities all around the world, but we were extended in colonization and global wars. We have common challenges to govern advanced science and technology, yet we also have a common need to provide the basic health and social needs of people in all cultures. We also can create life in vitro. We can make a genome of an organism in a machine, a DNA synthesizer, and transfer that DNA as a new nucleus to a cytoplasm and create a new cell. But those cells are designed based on constructions of existing genes, but we're now creating new genes. So very radical applications in this century to what is life and what is bioethics. So we have many questions. Study is just asking questions and trying to answer them. When is it ethical for the law to limit the act of love to attempt to cure a disease? Is there a case in public health where law will limit what you should do? When applying the principle of to do no harm, who besides the parents can claim that there's too much risk not to cure a disease? So for example, human genetic engineering and germline treatment is now possible. Should we limit that? This is a big topic for ethical and scientific consensus about when the risks will become safe enough to proceed. If we have a holistic approach to life, who can decide when a condition should be corrected and a life of suffering is too extreme? I have a number of genetic diseases. Don't touch me. I'm scary. Firstly, I need to wear glasses. This is a scary genetic disease, shared by probably half of you, but some of you are wearing contacts instead. I still have some here, a little bit of baldness, Baldness is also a genetic disease. It's rather easy to see, though we can sometimes hide it with a wig, and so on. So some diseases are not that significant. But if we have a disease like a multiple sclerosis, we are not going to survive very well walking around Dhaka, Bangladesh, are we? We need to be in air-conditioned rooms, or we will die. Okay. So this is so who can decide international norms? Who can balance the freedom of research? Indigenous knowledge systems are critical. We have to ensure they survive, and the wisdom is applied in many areas. We're trying to develop a decolonized educational curriculum valid in all wisdom traditions. How do we continue to shape a healthy spirituality for humankind? And diversity and pluralism can be rejoiced. And today we are here also from my colleague Anke from Uganda, who will talk about the establishment of an Indigenous Knowledge System program in Uganda. This is a public health stone in Japan. It's a tsunami warning stone. There's hundreds, about 300 of them. When you have a tsunami every 60 years, that's 15 meters high above sea level. Just imagine what that would do to Bangladesh. How far tsunamis come in. But when you have it regularly, you need to make a warning. So the stone says a big wave came, many people died, don't build below the stone. It's a warning. Don't build where it's easy in the valley, because those valleys will be flooded every 60 years with a 15 to 30 meter tsunami. That's a fairly impressive water. It's higher than where you are now. The pursuit of a good life. Do you want a good life? So what is a good life? How should we understand that in a holistic sense? It's much more than just a contented life, free of want and fear. We have to think about, we have the United Nations, several people here, Charles, myself, Ananya worked in UNESCO. We have Tahira worked in UNFPA. Some of you in the future will work in the UN. You will work for a global vision and also work for different sectors in the country. It's the duty of all governments to protect the citizens and those abilities to provide for those in need. Bioethics is simply, descriptive ethics is the way people view life and moral interactions and responsibilities with living organisms in their life. So in bioethics, much of our research is to look at what people think about different bioethical issues. Some of you, in fact some people in this room have done their degrees at AIUB-AUSN on bioethics, so they should be able to answer questions about what is bioethics if you ask them as descriptive. But the second aspect is prescriptive, to tell others what's ethically good or bad, or what principles are most important to making such decisions. It may also be to say something or someone has rights and others have duties to them. So you would expect that if somebody asks you in the future as a consultant of public health, what should I do? You can tell them what they should do. However, the more that you know, the more difficult it is to answer that fairly easily with one answer. It depends on their values, but we explain to them that's what it does. The International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic and Social and Cultural Rights, Article 1 is the same. All peoples have a right to self-determination. Okay? So you have that right to self-determination. How do we make that informed? How do we freely pursue? We have international standards for bioethics. We developed at UNESCO and even a Universal Declaration of Bioethics and Human Rights, which all countries have agreed to. The government of Bangladesh has agreed to implement it, as has every other country, whether it be the United States or North Korea or Iran or Samoa. Everyone's agreed to this framework, and they all have agreed to a set of principles to govern their policy making. They implement it in slightly different ways. and some would question if they do implement it. So Professor Ravi used to work for the Malaysian government for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when we first met. He's now an academic professor, but governments, when they commit themselves, they promise to do things, but it's quite difficult to actually put this into practice. So that's part of the translation stage that we as researchers try to do. And the third way, interactive ethics, is discussion and debate between people, groups within society and communities. Such dialogue skills are necessary to live harmoniously with others. So Dr. Tahira will talk about life skills education and how that is critical for a different type of education for people. Because how do we get people to make responsible decisions? So American University of Sovereign Nations is across the world. We have students from 40 countries. We have seminars in many of the institutions we have MOUs with. We're honored that we have an MOU with American International University in Bangladesh, and we've had several workshops together, and we also collaborate. And we're trying, every institution is trying to better itself for its students and its faculty and its communities. Our community is based in San Carlos Apache Tribal Nation, which is, if you've heard of Apache, is one of the tribes of North America. It faced a lot of colonization. We have gathered 100 faculty from all around the world who give their time. We have different programs and masters and PhD, not undergraduate. And we're trying to, my goal is to establish a decolonized university in every country in the world with our graduates and our partner institutions. So that is our goal. Bioethical maturity. How do we make informed citizens and societies? And I define a mature society as a person or a society that can balance the benefits and risks of alternative options, make well-considered decisions, and talk about these. Okay. And this computer has a mind of its own, so it wants to remove the slides. Thank you very much. We'll maybe have a chance for asking questions at the end of everyone's presentation. Thank you so much. So I'm going to pass straight, we'll do that MC, but we'll pass straight down.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Dere, for this wonderful presentation. I guess we'll have the question and answer session after the whole seminar. Now, Professor Ankit she is a visiting professor in AIUB-AUSN and also professor in Uganda, would like to discuss establishment of a traditional medicine center and hub for entrepreneurship in Uganda.
Do you want to use your own computer?
Oh, yeah, I can also connect it.
Okay, so while and if you don't mind, we're taking a video. Does anybody object to your comments being on video? You haven't had a chance to make any comments yet, but just in case. If you do, please tell me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It's a great pleasure for me at your center to give a brief about how we can make economic development through harnessing indigenous knowledge in the case of farm biotech. My name is Anke Weisheit. As you see, I'm not from Bangladesh, probably. I'm from Germany. I'm born in Germany, and I lived in Uganda for 16 years now and continue to live there. And I'm co-founder of Farm Biotrack. This is this center here, Farm Biotrack. The background, this center is a 2 years effort to develop a proposal for a public competition with the World Bank to set up centers of excellence in different fields for the development of regions in Africa. So it's established in 2017 at Bioethics University of Science and Technology. It's a government university and it's located in Western Uganda. Currently, we have 31 PhD under full scholarship and 71 master students, 60% under full scholarship in the field of pharmaceutical technology and traditional medicine. What is the goal of the center? The goal is to build a critical mass of specialized and skilled human resource that can advise traditional medicine in Africa. So to advance the field of traditional medicine in Africa. Secondly, vision is to be the leading African center of excellence and training, research in traditional medicine and pharmacotechnology. The mission is to contribute to documentation, validation, value chain development of traditional medicine and pharmaceutical biotechnology for the use in phytopharmaceutical, biological project, nutraceutical industry, and community service. So it's for industry and community service. We have academic programs at master's and PhD level and short courses for either practicing medical doctors who want to learn about traditional medicine or the traditional medicine practitioner who like to advance or improve their practice. Currently we have the PhD, as I mentioned, and the Masters in Pharmacognosy and Natural Medicine. Then clinical pharmacy is a new field in Uganda. It's only in Nairobi, Kenya. It's a pharmacy where the medical care or the health care, the doctor will be helped by pharmacist who is aware of the clinical setting and pharmacy. So patient-centered treatment where the doctor and the pharmacist together see the patient and they do treatment plan together. Not the doctor writes and the pharmacist only dispense. The pharmacist become active in the health team, no longer just being behind the counter and then also pharmacy. The framework of Farm Biotrack is multi-phased. The center is a Farm Biotrack. It's hosted at the university, Bioethics University. It collaborates with other university and research centers and also develops with the private sector and development institutions. These are the collaboration framework. What goes in is the knowledge from traditional knowledge holders. They either have a challenge, but sometimes you don't have challenge, but you have an innovation, you have an idea which would like to be advanced. And therefore working together with the center. Through participatory problem and innovation identification. There must be an interface. And usually there is a discrepancy between allopathic medicine or the book-based medicine systems and the traditional African medicine system. They don't like to meet each other so easily. So the center helps to bring the two together. Community outreach and development. So the center will feedback, it will receive and feedback to the local communities. Here, there are two main outputs. There are entrepreneurship, spin-off companies from students who build up their own enterprises. And the center provides service to each other, to the front and back. It's not a one-way, like a radio station, a meeting, no. It's an engagement. Products, processes, realities. Or, the center is also providing capacity building. That means new brains, new knowledge, new capacity, new people. This is the second output. Now, the traditional medicine sector is very big. I'm just saying the herbal medicine. I'm not going to the spiritual part. That is another layer which I'm not discussing today. So the medicinal plants for climate mitigation, healthcare, livelihood, economic. So medicinal plants can help to mitigate climate. It's not only that when you're sick, it can also help us when you're still fine. Healthcare, provide medicine, provide livelihood, provide money, income generation. Medicinal plants are high-value crops, and therefore farmer can get more different crops to grow. Agro biodiversity, instead of only maize and rice, pasture, and economic empowerment. How do you do that? Documentation, in situ and ex situ conservation. Now what that is, I'm telling for the students. In situ conservation of medicinal plants means when the plant, where it is protected and conserved. Ex situ is when the plant is outside their situation. Ex situ, that is in herbal garden, in botanical garden, at farm level, in forests, planted forests. This is ex situ conservation. Microbiological and antemorary assessment, also assessing how good they work. We need to see evidence. We cannot promote plants or practices which have no evidence. Post-harvest handling often happen. Plants are harvested, and during the process of post-harvest, many get lost through transport, through the processing. So that's important to have post-harvest. Institutional development and group enhancement. Here, herbalists usually have formed associations. And part of developing the whole system is to give herbalist association capacity building in leadership, in economic development, so that the group becomes stronger and continue their service to the community. Economic empowerment, value chain development, and enterprise. What gives us a living? We tend to preserve it. Human beings are crazy. What there is a use in, we try to preserve. When you don't see the use, so it's important, economic empowerment, the usefulness, and therefore it helps to promote the conservation. This is not without this. Business skills development and capacity building. There are many local people who are already working in the business field of traditional medicine. Enhancing their business skills is also important to make their living. The use in Uganda, for example, in the village, he liked to ride motorcycle taxi instead of working with the business of the family as herbal medicine. Why? They don't see sense. What is the economic opportunity for them? So through this training, you can understand, oh, I think I can do this business instead of risking my life on the bike. And also we need to make sure the public is aware of all our work. And this is not without any collaboration. It's a complex field, therefore needs a lot of different collaboration from social scientists, from chemists, entrepreneurs, various other stakeholders working together. So indigenous knowledge can be in several ways reach the business. IP direct to business. There are many traditional medicine practitioners making business. Or IP knowledge goes into science, research, and then do business. But every starts, it has a beginning. Working with indigenous people, traditional medicine practitioner needs patience, respect, full respect to their culture, sorry, to their way of living. It started in 2002. Sorry. Here you see traditional medicine packed in foil. Through a process of development, it reached this level. Traditional way of cooking with a lot of smoke. Health professionals with no more disease, a lot of smoke. Now with simply gas stove, a cleaner environment for both the human who does the work and also for the product. Imagine how much dust and ash flies around in the medicine. Capacity building, yeah, with the facing with herbalists and training on tincture making, herbal extracts. Our students doing much more than myself. That is also the business of setting up a center. A center? Building a center is a way of expressing your philosophy and your vision in a larger way. I cannot do all the work, but now the center, we have professors, we have all the people together. But first it starts with an idea. Then build a team, work together, get students on board, train them, and it will multiply your effort. Here these are samples of products from students and staff developed. Now to make business. This is a research center, and now we have an incubator attached to it, a business incubator. To make research and training sense, it has to do productivity, capacity, partnership and industry. Universities tend to be ivory tower. You see, it took us also time to enter you. It's not easy. Imagine if I was a herbalist and I want to see one of you. Just, I have seen you in a report on the website, I googled you, I say, I want to see you. I want to see you, for example. I go and say, I go on the gate, yeah, I want to, and it has a piece of paper, like a newspaper piece, huh? He puts the name because he saw it somewhere, maybe in the TV. You maybe talked in the TV. I want to see this person. Do you have an appointment? You know, you come in a traditional wear. You know the, how you call the men wear? Longi. You come in the longi, here on the gate. See, I want to talk to this professor. The sky was, this one is from the low class. What you want in university. He will not say it, but in the mind. He will look like this. What you want to talk to her. Do you have an appointment? So universities are often difficult to be accessed. And therefore, such centers where this deliberate effort to link with the community is very important. And must, as an incubator, why must my university is creating? There are different aspects. They are full of experience. Small grant for innovation incubation, we have experience in that, so we built on this. That is also called institutional saving. If you need funding from government, from private, or from internationalization, you always ask for your profile, or simply say your institutional CV. When you look for a job, there is an application I saw outside. There was an interview, a poster looking for a job. You need a CV, institution too. So these are the information. To achieve learning excellence, to sustainable strong entrepreneurial support and infrastructure. Most innovation, they need a little bit of infrastructure. A small processing unit, a lab, where they can practice and enhance the innovation. Attract experts. We don't know everything. So we must make sure that our centers are attractive. We get expertise to now provide support. So, going forward, develop a client investment plan, fundraising. So when you want to start this, you have to make first sure that your plan is in the. You never know when someone says, I have money, what you want? Show me the paper. Concept. You must have already concept. Implementation plan, how to now do it when you get the money. Develop a call for the incubatees, the business people, the aggressors to work, and then do cohorts and open the call. Our bigger dream is capacity development, prototype creation, and contract manufacture where now, because not every traditional practitioner can afford all this technology, but he can bring the recipe, can be manufacturing, nicely packing, and he can sell. We give a small fee to the factory, but he's selling as theirs. Thank you very much for the deep insight in bioethics, because that is the practical application. Not theory. Practical application. And by the way, I have done much bioethical activities before I even know what it means. The first thing when I was here with the herbalist, that is bioethics. You have to first be of equal level with your people. That's part of bioethics. Look, we're even similar dressed. And that's 2002, it's me.
But not similar color.
No, but similar in similar level. Help the local people just to develop their products from a simple level. It's not here a big command craft, whatever. Start simple. The community learns to cooperate with you, and then you can do bigger with the community. Thank you very much. The next.
Thank you, Professor, for this wonderful lecture. Dr. Tahira is going to present on awareness and need of skill education among young people in Bangladesh. She is a former chief in SRHR, UNFPA, part-time faculty in NSU, and assistant representative in UNFPA.
Awareness and need of life science education among young people in Bangladesh. Now, who are the young people? Are we all young people here? Are we? Yes. Very good. That's young at heart. So we are young. Yes. Okay. This is the research work that I had done under the supervision of Dr. Professor, and I have presented this today. So I thought that we should present to all of you because this is related to you yourself. All right. Background our country is 147,560 square millimeter. Population is 163 million. For 150, WHO definition of young people are 10 to 24 years. There are 52 million of them. Out of this, adolescents 10 to 19, 14.4 million, and girls are 15.1 million boys. So there's a lot of young people in Bangladesh. What are the problems that young people face nowadays? Early childbirth. All of you know that Bangladesh, many of them, more than almost 60%, it was 66 at one time, but in 3 years' time it has come down to 59. Supposed to be. Unless we have full census like next year, we need to know the exact situation. But anyway, let's see that these figures are right. And the child marriage has come down to 59% of all the brothers. And then the early childhood. It's a tradition among our society that when she is married, she must produce a child within a year and a female child. The first child is a female child. Their mother-in-law doesn't like it, but she does the same thing. The next child is also a female child. Now everybody is a little bit unhappy. The third child is also a female child. What happens to this girl? What happens? Where does she go? Back home. To her parents. This is our life. This is the city. We are the elite here. We are the people who are enjoying the most prestigious life. I didn't marry till I was 21. That was, everybody said I'm too old to get married. So, this is it. Life is like this. We have to do our part also for our young people. Everybody in our own families, in our own villages, in our own communities, we have to see that all the girls who get married are at least 18 years old. Tobacco use, mental health and suicide, poverty and malnutrition, harmful drinking of alcohol, drug and substance abuse, violence, especially domestic violence, is very much rampant in our countries. Injuries and road safety, especially those young boys who act as conductors at standing in the steps of the buses, they have many tragic ends. School dropouts, many children drop out, many youngsters drop out, and others. So these are some of the common problems that I have cut out. So what is life skills education? What does life skills education have to do with this? This education was initiated by WHO, Department of Mental Health, to help young people take the right decisions and attitude during these years. These are skills which help in the development of psychosocial skills to deal with day-to-day problems. These are actually psychological and social skills mixed together, especially suitable for adolescents to develop self-esteem and power to say no. Developed by WHO as a project first. So life skills is basically power to say no, to have self-esteem, all of you. You can easily say no, I won't go. The girl can easily say I will not marry now. She can go and talk to the opposite money officer. There are agencies to help us. So actually the whole presentation is based on WHO, because WHO is the norm setting and standard setting agency of the United Nations. Components of life skills are communication and interpersonal skills, decision making and problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, cooperation and team building spirit and skills, and advocacy skills and self-management skills. Okay, can anyone of you tell me what is a self-management skills? One skill, one self-management skill. You manage your one. Anyone?
Doing my necktie.
Okay, that's a great self-management. What about coming in time? That's a great self-management. And what about not getting angry at your friends for something? That's not self-management. Alright. This is a study. Bangladesh is a large population of young people, and the problem with young people and adolescents are no longer children, not yet adults. In a period of transition from child to adult, in terms of physical and mental health, is one of the most important periods of human life cycle. Neither child nor adult, in between. It is a period of rapid development where young people acquire new capacities and are faced with many new situations. This research will look into the use of life skills education to help young people face their challenges in an adaptive manner. So this is a real research, a real study that I have done. The scope of the research is addressing the problems facing young people through life skills education. It is our ethical duty to impart life skills education in order to help the young people make the right choices. This study will be the basis of development of a policy to introduce life skills education. It can be a strategy also to increase the self-esteem, self-confidence, as well as the ability to say no. No to drugs, no to violence, no to all the negative things. And to take the right decisions for the future as responsible citizens and be an asset to their family and community. Research questions were what knowledge exists among young people regarding the skills, what are their perceptions on life skills, how necessary is life skills, and based on this, we developed recommendations for the government, stakeholders and colleges. Why is this significant? Because the government can use it, NGOs can use it, even the garment industries can use it because they employ a lot of young girls. And the ethical committee approval was given on 2 dates, one by AIUB-AUSN on 22 April and another by Bangladesh Ethics Review Committee of the Bangladesh Bioethics Society in May 2019. And the research design was basically interviews, focus group discussion with parents, informed consent, and total of 124 young people and 41 guardians were part of the study. When findings and discussion were asked about what is life skills, young people had different ideas, but nobody was correct. Nobody had really had a life skills training. And the desire to receive training, they said yes, we would like to have life skills training. And a large percentage of young people wanted to go abroad. Going abroad was like a golden road to them. And who should get training in life skills? Most of the majority of the young people said that parents should get life skills training. The teachers should get life skills. They are not talking of themselves, which is very strange. On the other hand, guardians said that the young people and young adults were telling lies. This was the parents' side. They were saying, "Our children mitha kotha bole. Class nai tao bole class ache." Okay. Then 56% of the guardians said their children, their young people, were always angry at them. Especially when they did not get money, they would bang the door, break the things and get out of the way. Does it seem familiar to any one of you?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Okay. The guardians said their words mixes with friends. And the tendency আছে বলে এই ফ্রেন্ডটা নষ্ট করেছে আমার ছেলে, এই মেয়েটা আমার মেয়েটাকে নষ্ট করেছে, ও কিন্তু খুব ভালো ছিল, এই ছেলেটাই মেয়েটা শয়তান। হ্যাঁ, এবার ঘন্টার পর ঘন্টা তারা কথা বলছে কি সুন্দর করে, দরজা বন্ধ করে ইন্টারনেট আর মোবাইল চলতেছে। আর বলে আমরা চাই যে মোবাইলের কথা না কম বলবো, আর মোবাইলের উপরে তো আমাদের প্যারেন্টাল কন্ট্রোল দিতে পারবো না, পারবো? নট পসিবল, নট অ্যালাউড বাই দ্য কনস্টিটিউশন, ইউ ক্যান ডু ইট। বাট there is something in the internet for that you can have some parental control. And 61% of the guardians said they were demanding money. Taka chai, taka na, all of them are related. Taka, friend, papa product, moto bhanga, bari theke beriye jao. All these are tied together. তাহলে কি জানি আমরা এখন কি করবো? How do we go ahead? আমরা দেখা যাচ্ছে নলেজ অন লাইফ স্কিলটা খুব মিগার অ্যাড্রেসের মধ্যে, আর ট্রেনিংটাও খুব কম দিচ্ছে। ইয়াং পিপল ফিল দ্য প্যারেন্টস এন্ড টিচার্স শুড গেট ট্রেনিং। আর এটা হলো প্যারেন্টস ফিল দ্য চিলড্রেন হ্যাভ বিকাম হস্টাইল। 17 to 19 থেকে তারা হস্টাইল রাগ হয়ে যায়, আনসোশাল হয়ে গেছে। কোনো বিয়ে বাড়ি, কোনো কারো বাড়িতে তারা যাবে না, না আমার কাকু পরীক্ষা আছে যেতে পারবো না, নানান রকম ঝামেলা অজুহাত করে তারা কারোর সাথে মিশে না, বন্ধু বান্ধবী আর ফোন আর ইন্টারনেট। আচ্ছা, আর মা বাবা মনে করে যে ইয়াং পিপল হ্যাভ টু মেনি ফ্রেন্ডস, আর তাদের হয় এই ফ্রেন্ডরা তাদেরকে ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করে, তাদের খারাপ বানিয়ে ফেলছে, আর তারা ছেলে মেয়েকে জানা চায়, অ্যান্ড দে ডু নট ট্রাস্ট দেয়ার প্যারেন্টস অল থ্রু ফ্রম 14 to 24 তার বাবার বিশ্বাস যে না আমাকে যেতে খামাখা পিকনিকে যাবো আমরা, দিন রাত কাটাবো শ্রীমঙ্গলে, তাদের বললেও বিশ্বাস করবে না। আচ্ছা, যাই হোক, এখন এই পর্যন্ত বললাম। কনক্লুশনও রিসার্চটা দেখাচ্ছে দ্যাট ইট ইজ এ সিগনিফিক্যান্ট লিঙ্ক বিটুইন ইয়াং পিপল পারসেপশন অ্যান্ড বিহেভিয়ার অ্যান্ড দ্য রিজন টু ট্রেন দেম অন লাইফ স্কিল। এই ছেলেপেলেদের যদি অল্প বয়স থেকে লাইফ স্কিল সম্বন্ধে পড়ানো হচ্ছে, সেটা মেন্টাল একটা সাইকোসোশিয়াল একটা স্টাডি। তোমাকে সোসাইটির সাথে অ্যাডাপ্ট করতে হবে, টাইম ম্যানেজমেন্ট করতে হবে, মেন্টাল অ্যান্ড ফিজিক্যাল বডি, এবং with that you will take the right decision. না আমি এখন ড্রাগ নেব না, আমি এখন এই পথে যাবো না, আমি 2 বছর কষ্ট করলে আমি ভালো রেজাল্ট করবো, তখন আমি ভালো লাগে যেতে পারবো, বা আপনাকে জোর করে টাকা নিয়ে বিদেশ যাবে, কোথাও তো হবে না বলুন। তাই এই স্টাডিটা দেখবেন যে লিঙ্কেজগুলো কি, এবং এই লিঙ্কেজটা তৈরি করার জন্য একটা এরপরে আমাদের বসতে হবে সরকারের সাথে এবং সবার সাথে, যেন বোথ প্যারেন্টস অ্যান্ড the young people have training on life skills, so they understand each other. It's very important. So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much.
Next, Dr. Ravi.
Professor Tahira will be leaving, so if anybody has questions, this is the time to ask her.
You can ask many confidential questions. Please.
Thank you, ma'am. It was nice hearing your details elaborated presentation. First of all, it's a very funny question. Do you agree with the definition of young people limiting the age from 10 to 24?
Why not? What's wrong with it?
Don't you consider 25 can be young? When we are talking about ethical...
You're right. In this sense, you're right. It depends upon the country. In our country, the children get they love too much by their parents. So Babu is Babu till he's 50 years old. So that is something. The definition can be changed. It's a country context, so it doesn't matter. But tell me any specific things regarding the life skills itself.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, do you consider it is high time for the third world countries to implement life skill education in the educational system? And if so, what are the challenges that we are going to face when we try to implement this in the educational system?
Okay, for that, we suggest a long list of literature which you can read through. Like India has done it and they face problems. But slowly they have eventually with a higher level, not in the lower level, higher level. Now there is a Center for Ethical Review Committee in AUSN, which is working on having a small diary. And this will be given to school kids who are from 7 or 8. And these kids are there to every day they will write a diary. This is wrong, this is according to their own normative senses. And then after 7 days they'll come and they'll say, I have done this and I think it's wrong, another person, I have done this, I think it's right, and so on. And they compare, then the standards are made. You see, the ethics and values are slowly eroding from our society. Why, you tell me? You're the young person. Why do people tell young people tell me about that?
Simple, because they are frustrated. They are too
Why
much
are they
crowded. Too much crowded with so much knowledge where they don't know what is right and
There's
Because there is no family support, ma'am. Because they don't take support from family. They have no connection with parents.
Why don't they have connection? The parents don't give them time?
Because yes, also one of the ones that
But the society
both
is
parents are busy.
so
One minute, tell me.
Because parents are busy for their jobs, for their profession,
Yes,
career.
definitely, I agree.
They have no time for their children also, and they don't.
The urban parent.
Yes.
The urban one, not the village parent. The village parent still has time. The farmer sells his land to send his kid to the University or College in Dhaka and brags about it to everybody.
Yes.
But what happens after some time he hears his son has gone to another country, usually, but he has gone by boat. So all these things influence. So my question to all of you youngsters are, yes, your values are eroding and you're blaming part of it on the parents. Fine, I believe so. I believe that our parents don't give enough time also. They are too busy with their work, with their life, with their friends. They have a boa, they give it the time to the boa. Maybe the boa gives them the poison milk, they don't care.
Yes, ma'am.
So definitely, but you guys also have to be very much grateful to your parents for the sacrifices they made to bring you up to this level. And we in this room, we are the most benefited of you. Because we are coming to this high level school, college. Would you have come here if you were in the village? This is the sacrifice you made. Remember the sacrifices that your parents made, your elder brothers made, your grandmother made to raise you to this level. This is also important. It's not a one-way, trust doesn't go one way, it's a two-way road. So good for your question, but you can look into my literature.
last question.
Yes.
During your research work, as you have done in-depth interview and some focus group discussion, have you ever tried to put the children and the parents together and
Dangerous. I won't get any reply. Children are so clever. If I give you the interview, you will never tell me the truth. But the parents, they didn't want to say, or they gave me a phone number. I talked to them on the phone. Then they were crying, so I couldn't say it. সবার সঙ্গে তো বলা যায় না, তাদের তো একটা মান সম্মান ব্যাপার আছে। এগুলো তো বুঝতে হবে, আমরা তো বাংলাদেশের মানুষ, আমাদের তো একটা কালচার তো দেখাতে হবে যে সবাই খুব খুশি সুন্দর আছে, পিসফুল একটা জায়গা, দ্যাটস নট ইট।
এটা একটা প্রবলেম, এটা একটা বার্ডেন একটা বাচ্চার উপর, যে মান সম্মান বা অনেক
সেটাই তো, তোমরা মান সম্মানটা দেখাবে না। তোমরা যদি এখন ঘন্টার পর ঘন্টা ফ্রেন্ড নিয়ে ঘুরে বেড়ায়, আর বাসায় তোমার মায়ের বন্ধু বান্ধব বলে আপনার মেয়েকে দেখছে রিসেন্ট পার্কে ওখানে বসে একজন সাথে গল্প করছে, কেমন লাগবে? এটা তো থাকবেই, তাই না? এই জন্য বলছি যে লাইফ স্কিলস হলে দুই পক্ষ একসাথে হবে, দুইজন যদি ছোটবেলা থেকে একদম 8-9 বছর থেকে বাচ্চারা বুঝতে থেকে, তখন থেকে মা বাবাকেও ট্রেনিং দেবে তাদের সঙ্গে। খালি আমাদের কি মানে স্প্রেড দ্য রড এন্ড স্পয়েল দ্য চাইল্ড, মারো ঠাকুর মারো বকা দাও, ঠিক আছে দেখলো, দ্যাটস নট হোয়াট ইজ ডান। বলো
ক্যাপ্টেন মাসুদ, আমার
ক্যাপ্টেন লোকে তো ক্যাপ্টেন আমি
আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চেন না, আমার একটা মতামত চাই। আপনি কি মনে করেন না এই প্রবলেমটা অ্যারাইজ করছে প্যারেন্টস আর টু মেনি জাজমেন্টাল ওভার দেয়ার কিডস আর ওভার দেয়ার চাইল্ড?
প্রশ্নটা আবার বলো।
মানে আপনি কি মনে করেন না প্যারেন্টস মাঝে মাঝে খুব বেশি জাজমেন্টাল হয়ে যায় তাদের?
অবশ্যই, আমরা তো we are only the input cards. First level মান লাগাবো। হ্যাঁ, this is true. আমাদের যে মানে অথরিটেটিভ ইয়ে আছে টেন্ডেন্সি for because the young child is very soft and very dependent on the guardian. হ্যাঁ, তো তুমি কনভেনশন অন দ্য রাইটস অফ দ্য চাইল্ড পড়ো, দেখো অ্যাবিউজেস টু চাইল্ড are in the family. So you are right. But it means that when you have life skills, you look into all of these things and you start training. But just start from the very beginning. When your child is say class 6 or 7, in the UK, it's all in the schools, free, through a charity, from 10 years onwards. So they don't go into alcohol, they don't go into tobacco, they don't go to blue and other things. It's true. And this is,
There is one more question.
Last question.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I would like to ask you that, as you have mentioned, that there is a certain gap between the parents and the child. Do you think a generation is lost because
which the first one or the second one?
second one, because they are the future? That when they become a parents, it will be to the trouble will be more, and that the process of recovering from this issue is irreparable or irreversible.
You're right. We are going through transition because we are having a very modern society with very fast internet technology and all these things. So there in the house, in the hut, you can find people having no rights to it, but in the next house, he has the latest computer and the latest mobile phone. This is what we are going through. Okay, yes, this is going to be a problem, and that is why life skills and communication, social skills, adaptive behavior are very much needed. Because the children don't want to listen to the social norms. মেলাতে যাও না কেন, আমরা স্কুল চলে যাও। তো বাবা কি বলবে? তাদের মানে কি বলবো, তাদের সম্মান নিয়ে তারা ব্যস্ত, কি করবে তারা? They don't demand money, but they demand that they have children who are obedient. That is what our culture is. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tahira. The next presenter is Professor Mukti. He is a professor in National University of Malaysia and a president in Asian Bioethics Association. His topic is Universities as Hub for Promotion of Human Security and International Relations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Nancy. Well, in Malaysia, youth is 45 years old. Just to good, Dr. Tahira. In Malaysia, the youth is 45 years old. It used to be 40. For raising the flag.
For going to all the trips, conferences.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you. My presentation today is on this topic. It's a bit long. Universities as hubs for promotion of human security and international relations. That's me. I'm Ravi from National University of Malaysia, it's also called Malay, UKM, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. So my university is located in Kuala Lumpur, about half an hour drive from the city, right? Southwards, towards the airport. Let me speak to you about what is human security. The keyword here is actually human security. Can anybody tell me, this is the first time you have heard of this word human security as a terminology? Have you heard of this before? No. Okay. I'm guessing all of you are from the sciences, right? Medical sciences and whatnot. Okay. Now the term human security essentially talks primarily about refocusing policy formulation, alright, that is directed towards human focus or people focus. Okay? Now why is it so? Now, let me go through the slides. It will be easier for me to just explain to you through the slides. Okay. Now the paradigm, why there is a paradigm shift in security? When we talk about human security, essentially we start with the idea of security. Alright? Why there is a problem of security here towards humans? Why does humans need more security? Alright? Isn't the international system and the governments and the state system provide enough security for the masses? Okay? So what is this concept called human security is? Right? So primarily, if you look, especially in the Second World War, the Second World War essentially is an event that is the most disastrous to human lives. Okay? And we found that the Second World War and the wars before that, okay, there is no laws or there is no modalities to safeguard or rather to curb states from waging what we call total war or total destruction. Meaning, if I am a state, I have the liberty to kill or to create destruction. Right? Why? Because in international relation, state is a primary actor. There is nothing else above the state. Alright? Of course, now we have supranational organization like the EU is now being tested. Okay. Now that is the basis. So now, after the Second World War, people are thinking, the scholars and also the thinkers in the United Nations were thinking, how can we reduce or make states more responsible? Okay? Make states more responsible towards the people. Right? Now we all growing up, we were told that it is good to give your life to the country. Am I right? Right? We need to obey and be passionate about the flag, the symbols. Am I right? Symbols, monuments, iconic leaders. These are symbols of states. Okay, that's fine. But there is also one form of indoctrination, I would argue. Alright? So therefore, my life as a human being or the life of certain people is less important than in preserving the system. Alright? So states uses this in forms of nationalism, in the form of indoctrination, to tell you that your lives are important, but the country and the nation and the system is more important. Okay? So therefore, it gives the state the blanket approval, right, to do or to formulate policy which can be detrimental to its own population. Now, that is the premise of this idea of human security. Now, if we were to look at, let me just read this. The human race faces challenges, am I right? Okay, in the existence and also in its environment. We see a lot of new things happening. Rapid population growth, right? Your country is a small country in terms of space, but you have 163 million people now. You're probably the most densely populated country in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? Now, with population, with this population boom, alright, it creates a lot of stress, right? Not only to the environment, to the system, to the societal framework, so you have population growth, environmental degradation, we have seen everywhere, okay? And we have inequitable distribution of wealth, right? I can see in Bangladesh, we were talking while coming in the car with Dr. Nisha, the income disparity between classes, between groups are very big. And this is one of the issues of the sustainable development goal, right, of income equality. Are now provoking political strifes in many countries. Many countries are having these problems, right? Groups which are unhappy, right? I mean, there are so many things. They are unhappy with religion, they are unhappy with things. But the core component or the basis foundation of all this, or most of this political or this strife is actually what we call economic deprivation, right? When you are deprived economically, especially in comparison with other groups. Okay, so when you feel deprived, so therefore there is a great level of dissatisfaction. Now, however, okay, now we have seen a political strife that has led to social disintegration, armed conflict around the world. However, countries, as a result of state-centric position, this is another concept, state-centric, meaning whatever the state does is actually for its own preservation because of the primacy and supremacy of the state, often make decisions, not all the time, and action also not all the time, that may be detriment to the humans, all right, to the habitat, and to other sentient beings. Okay? So human security here is an attempt to make states and authorities more human-friendly and more people-focused. That means when there is a policy formulation dimension, I was from the ministry before, and when I was very much involved in the science policy of the country, and when we talk about the science policy, it's always about RSE. It's always about researchers, engineers, and scientists. That is our target. All right, we need to produce this much of our researchers, engineers, and all that. So this, I mean, of course, in most of the science policy of the country, you have certain targets to achieve. But very rarely we talk about the ethical concern. How is this going to impact a certain segment of society or generally the community in general? So I think these are some of the things that this human security pushes is for a people-centric, all right, people-focused policy formulation. Let me go to the next slide. Now, having said that, what is human security? Again, very fast. Human security approach is actually an approach of national and international security that give primacy to human beings. That means you are important. All right, systems important, but you are more important than the system. State security, security for whom? All right. Right now, when we talk about the security, the central debate of security is about boundaries, it's about sovereignty. You put security in the center of debate. But in human security, the center of the security debate is humans. It's our environment. Okay. So therefore, I think this is a slow change, right? It is a gradual and slow change. It takes a long time. Okay. And I come from Southeast Asia, and one of the countries that have made more improvement in human security is Thailand. Right? Thailand, even my country has not made much headway in this. Human security concern is about safeguarding and expanding people's vital freedom. Right? Okay. It requires both protection, both protecting people from critical and pervasive threats and empowering people to take charge of their own lives. Okay. States now have the fundamental responsibility of providing security to the people, safeguarding people. Other forms of challenges to human security, we find that conflict, issues of conflict, mitigation, prevention is important in many parts of the world. Whenever there is armed conflict, there is human security challenges. Okay, we have seen everywhere in the world. Human rights abuses and violations, people move, IDPs, the refugees and internally displaced people everywhere, Rohingyas, right? Okay. Rohingya is an issue here as well, right? Yeah. It's an issue in my country as well. A lot of people, they like to come to Malaysia.
You are helping us a lot.
Excuse me?
You are helping us a lot.
By absorbing the refugees.
Yeah.
We are actually doing a great work. The guy who cuts glass in my house is a Rohingya guy. Right? He does it very well. Alright, so we have all sorts of minority oppression all over the world. We have minority ethnic conflicts that's happening. Human trafficking, the major thing in Southeast Asia, all right? Child abuse, environment degradation, resources security, food, all sorts of things. All these impose challenges to human security concerns. Now, in 1994, the United Nations Development Program came out with this report that uses the word human security. Okay, now it outlines 7 levels of human security. Now, economic security that looks at income, securing income, all right, and employment, fair pay, condition, housing, services, all right. So in economic security, it's not only about economic security of the country progress is not only about GDP, but it's also about PPP, about the purchasing power parity of each individual, right? It trickles down to individuals here. Food security, right? Food security is an issue in Bangladesh, I know, right? But it's also an issue everywhere in the world, right? In many developing countries and agrarian societies. So food security is another major concern, number 2. That means you must have access for food, right? It's not enough that you have money, but you also have access for food. Okay, number 2. Number 3 is health security, access to preventive and curative medicines and services, nutrition, clean water, clothing. Clean water is also another target of the SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. So this is important. Sanitation, not sure what is the level in Bangladesh, but in India it's a major issue, right? So when I went to speak in India, they said that India is the biggest toilet in the world, biggest open toilet in the world, apparently, right? So lots of issues that we have, all right? Environmental security, Darren and myself have worked on a book project on this, on environmental security, environmental ethics, right? Policies and practices to ensure sustainable and protection of land, air, water, the resources. These are important. Personal security, individual bodily harm, all right? Body and your bodily harm. Like for example, safety against threats of violence, crime, war, abuses, right? It talks about community that goes one step ahead. It's not only about individual, but also the community that the individual lives in. Protection of community groups, including family, ethnic groups. Alright? So identification of the important, it also identifies ethnicity as an important concept. Okay? Political security. Alright? Here we talk about human rights, right to vote, express political view, but also embedded in whether it's not only about whether you have the right to speech, whether you have freedom of the speech, right? That's also quite important. Now the UNDP report outlines the 7. There are also a wealth of literature that has come up after that. In fact, many of my students want to do their master's topics on one aspect of human security, comparing and things of that sort. So as there are more literature which is available at this point of time with regard to this, what we call a non-traditional security, which is human security. Now, what is the role? This is my last slide. Okay, the role of the universities in promoting human security. All right. Basically, what is our role in the university? The academia. All right. How can they promote human-focused, human-friendly, people-focused policies and action? This is the role. That is the thing. This is my points. Number 1 is creating ethics-based narratives, right? Through research on human security, publication, dissemination of information and opinion about human security. Now, just last week, the UN office in Kuala Lumpur organized a big sustainable development goal program. It was a big thing, right? The Prime Minister came and several other ministers also spoke, and a lot of issues, not only from the government, but also from the academia, and also from the civil society and independent groups. They came and spoke very openly about what needs to be done. Okay, so I think this is important. We need to create the narrative, right? Now I'll just give you an example. Okay, can you see the lines here? Alright, as we are happy when we switch on, when we switch it on, what happens? You have electricity. Correct? Yeah? You have electricity. When you switch it on, there's no electricity, then there's a problem. Correct? You don't have air conditioning. But have we ever thought about the sources or where the electricity comes from? Is it from a renewable source? Is it from a non-renewable source? Right? I mean, we are comfortable at this level, but very, very rarely we talk about energy sources. Right? Energy sources. But in certain schools, like for example in Australia, they talk about the sources of energy. They talk about renewable energy. I came to know renewable energy when I was in school, actually in the university, right? About university. But now children, I'm not sure in Bangladesh, in Malaysia, they are now quite sensitive with these issues, right? Now my kids, that day, I took my daughter out for her birthday, and she came to the restaurant with a metal straw. Now both my kids have metal straws. They don't use plastic straws anymore. Right? Right. I mean, it's good. I mean, so I think there are changes that's happening. Okay. That is number one, is the narratives. Number two is advocacy. Is creating awareness, promoting human security, best practices among stakeholders, agencies, and also the masses. What is important now is, like for example, this comes to the governance level, right? We can talk about, the academia can talk about human security in policies, and the student, we can do all these awareness program, but what is more important is actually to influence policymakers, and this is very important. Only when there is a, how do you say, there is a buy-in, okay, from policymakers, that you can create more change, bring about changes into the society as a whole. Alright, voice for the marginalized group in society. Now, what is the marginalized group here in Bangladesh? Huh? Indigenous group? Indigenous group. Alright, like the Rohingyas or something?
No, tribal people.
Tribal people. Okay, tribal people. Okay. We also have about 70,000 of them still live in the jungle, right? Okay. Other than that, are there any other marginalized group in your society?
Nearly 51%.
Right.
Considered poor.
Poor. Okay. Based on poverty.
Minorities not as marginalized.
Not all minorities. Right? In some places, minorities are doing fairly better. But I'm sure in your Bangladesh, in your case here, it will probably be different. LGBT, do you have a problem with LGBT?
Yes.
Alright, do you talk about it?
But not open.
Not openly. Okay. Now in Malaysia, LGBT issue has come to an open forum. My children talk about LGBT and they discuss with me about this. And they are so passionate about it. They say that, I come from the old school, so I have certain tendencies or certain perception. They say, no, Papa, you're wrong. Alright? Okay. So people are challenging. I remember 3 years ago we had this ASEAN Plus 3 workshop. You get all the intelligent people from all the university students, right? Top students, and they came for an open forum, and I was one of the moderators of the forum. And I asked a question, what are the issues that close to your heart? And I was thinking, economy? Right, usually we talk about economy, right? We talk about security, we talk about environment. No, it was LGBT, right? So the younger generation feel closely to these marginalized groups. It differs from country to country. Now, educate the younger generation to be more human security sensitive, meaning which they must know their rights. If someone abuses them, then they must know that they should stand up, right? They should voice out. There are a lot of explanation. Education, organize, HR awareness, create interdisciplinary research group. Now this is actually quite important. At a university level, there is a tendency for people to remain in their discipline, right, to remain in their discipline. I'm from the discipline of security studies, so most of my research is only security studies, right? But the nature of international relations, nature of research, academic research as stage, now we call it interdisciplinary. Sometimes we use the word transdisciplinary, right? Now I have a project on ASEAN. I look at public opinion, right? Public opinion, but I look at many groups. So in my research group, there are anthropologists, there are economists, there are also people, policy people like me, okay? There are also many. I'm also looking on palm oil, like for example. Palm oil nothing to do with the social sciences, right? Basically it's about sciences. But you can do on different aspects of it. So the nature of interdisciplinary nature of research is important when we look at human security, okay? Then of course, as academicians, the universities can also write policy papers. And our contributions at best is that where you have something written and it's for the government or rather the policy makers to make use of it. Okay, I'll stop there. This is my last slide.
Thank you so much. Maybe there's a question for Ravi while we get the next speaker, Shahanas, prepared. Any questions for Dr. Reddy, please? Please, Ravi, you have a question. Please, Ravi, there's a question for you.
Yeah, please. Thank you, sir. It was a nice, very interesting presentation. As you have mentioned, that security has different types, like environmental security, health security. What do you think, what the resources will come from to provide this to the people you're trying? What do you think that resources should come from? Does it come from a state, does it come from an organization? And how much of that resources, how that resources will be distributed to people, and how the security will differ from person to person, from ethics or state? How do you suggest, or how do you think as a policymaker that how it should be implemented?
Well, traditionally, if you look at my country, security is the prerogative of the state. I mean, the state should provide security. Okay, that is the normal. For example, there is no jobs, then it's the responsibility of the state to provide jobs, or to create a situation that you have creation of jobs. Okay, so I think that is the thing. But things have changed. When you know that the state are unable to provide. Like if you come to Malaysia, everybody now pay for their own security, meaning which they live in a particular area, right, in a housing area, and they have guarded and gated community, right, they put gates, they put guards 24 hours, and they pay themselves. The reason is they know that the state is unable to provide the kind of security that requires, that they want. So that's one. So resources changes from country to country. What I meant by policy making is essentially whenever you have specific groups, like for example, when you make, say you make a housing policy for housing, like for example, right? Now, usually when we make a housing policy in many countries, the houses are built not only by the government, largely by the private sector, right? Now in Malaysia you have that whenever you build houses, there are certain segment of the houses, certain portion must be for the lower income. That means in any community, in any group, you have high-rise buildings. Usually it's high-rise building, high-rise apartment flats caters for the marginalized. Basically when we talk about marginalized, we talk about income. Right? Those who earn more than less than $3,000, then they can buy certain properties. Right? That's one. So basically you need to have policies in place to help these communities to come up, right? So one of the problems is lack of, not only they don't have skills. I mean, the Indian community in Malaysia, I come from the Indian community, the Indian community in Malaysia had the same problem many years ago. When the British left, the plantation, we were brought there to work on the plantations. The plantations were fragmented, was sold. Then what happened, basically the Indians know how to tap rubber. They don't have any other skills. So now we are put in a situation that they come to the cities, they live in the ghetto areas, right? They are they don't have any other skills as only as laborers, and also so they were into work, all right, pretty much. And so I think then it came out certain policies to help out these people. So I think the focus of policy must be very sound. Right? Policy, the first principle of policy making is actually the principle of greater. I mean, a policy may not target 100% goodness, but at least 90%, the greater good principle of policy formulation. And this is one of the principles of policy. Right? But sometimes it gets off track.
Thank you very much, Ravi. Thank you. But last, we have I think we have a last presentation first. Okay. But we have a question discussion after the session too. So let's do that. Then we can open up.
Thank you very much, and very good late afternoon, I hope. And Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Nice to be back at AIUB because I used to work here. They are my boss. I used to work here 9 years back, but my campus was in Saket. So it's nice to be in a big campus. It's very nice. So, well, that was Tahirappa talked about life skills, and Mr. Ravi, he talked about human security. So both of them are very important, and the concept that I'm going to share with you is health insurance. So this is a study I have done because now we are in the phase of achieving sustainable development goal, and one of the goal is the very important, that is the third goal, is the health, and that is the human rights. We should all have the access to health, and this health, if we want to, it should be, they say that if we want to have these health rights, we have to go through this universal health coverage. So universal health coverage is giving the efficient healthcare, quality healthcare, and one of the most important part is giving the financial protection. So how you can have this financial protection? So, and in our country, we do not have that kind of supportive mechanism that we can be protected from being poor to poor. Because like they say that when a poor person gets sick, even rich sometimes, when some of the NCDs like chronic disease, if you want to take care of the family, those who are being sick, hoti bati bikri kore, tapore jomi joma bikri kore, then you have to get that care. But if there is a supportive mechanism that can help us, so that will be wonderful. But this mechanism, this health insurance, is not that much being provided, at least not at the government level. Little bit of some of the organizations, they are doing much of the work. So before having this financial protection through this health insurance mechanism, we have to go through making people understanding the perceptions of health insurance. In that perspective, I went for this kind of study, okay? So, I already said achieving universal health coverage means implementing policies to ensure that all people receive healthcare services they need without suffering financial hardship. Many low and middle income countries are currently considering how to reform their healthcare systems to provide effective financial risk protection for all as a part of universal healthcare. So there's a justification. Health expenditure is increasing day by day, which is most people pay out of their pockets. At this moment, recently in Bangladesh, about 67% of the health expenditure comes from out-pocket expenditure of the household, and 23% is provided by the government, some of it, and remaining comes from the non-governmental organizations. In case of having health insurance, paying out-pocket expenditure, or borrowing money can be avoided. For successful implementation of the health insurance coverage, it is necessary to understand basic dynamics of consumer preferences, acceptability, and pricing of health insurance products. Without knowing people's perceptions on health insurance, the government cannot implement a nationwide health insurance scheme for its citizens. Furthermore, there is no evidence to study on perceptions of health insurance among the formal sector officials in Bangladesh. In this perspective, we assess the perceptions of health insurance among potential consumers and policymakers to achieve this universal health coverage in Bangladesh. So the general objectives of my study was to assess the level and determinants of perceptions regarding the health insurance among potential consumers in Bangladesh. And the specific objectives were to assess the perceptions regarding health insurance among potential consumers and to find out the factors influencing the perceptions of potential consumers about health insurance. So this is my study design. My study design was cross-sectional study and it contained both qualitative and quantitative approaches in urban and semi-urban settings. Both government and non-government offices were selected purposefully, representing different types of working groups. The respondents from each selected office were taken purposefully, involving all kinds of ranks. That is, we divided into government and non-government, and from the government we had these policymakers and government officials, and non-government, the health insurance providers and non-government officials. The questionnaire was pre-tested before going through the real interview, and the data collection technique was face-to-face interview and also in-depth interview of the potential consumers. In-depth interviews were conducted with the policymakers and health providers to assess their perception, and the in-depth interviews there was a guiding discussion question, a structured questionnaire was used. And the analyses were done by the SPSS version 20. Logical checking was done, and the analysis was univariate analysis was presented as mean, median, standard deviation, and interquartile range, frequency and proportion. Chi-square and t-test were done as bivariate analysis, and one-way ANOVA and Pearson correlation was also done. Perception was assessed by 3-point Likert scale, asking 13 questions. For each response, either agree, neutral, and disagree, total percentage was measured. In case of measured level of perception, the right answer of each question was scored 1 and wrong answer was scored 0. Thus, possible maximum score was 13 and minimum score was 0. And poor, average, and good perceptions were calculated using mean plus minus 1 standard deviation. And qualitative analysis was done by thematic analysis. So this is my result. As accordingly, you can see I had done this research in 4 divisions, that is Khulna, Chittagong, Rajshahi, and Dhaka, and this is the percentage among them. Regarding the age of the respondent, it's seen that 44% of the respondents were in the range between 25 to 34, and the marital status, the head of the family, like 52% were married and they were the head of the family, and the urban setting was 54.1. The treatment-seeking behavior of the respondents in different regions, you can see that visit to the medical doctor, that is the 68.4%, and visit to chemist was like 15.2%, that is in the Chittagong division, and visit to the Ayurvedic, that is 0.7%, and also in Khulna and Chittagong is the same percentage, that is 0.7. And visit to homeopath doctors, that is 8.8, that is in Khulna division. And visit to traditional healer, that is about 1.2 and 1.2 the same, that is in Dhaka and also in Rajshahi. And self-medication is one of the components that people get treated by themselves. It is about 11.7% that is seen in Khulna division. Treatment-seeking behavior of the respondents in different regions. You can see the bar diagram. You can see that 41.8% it is seen that they are having treatment in public hospitals. That's a good sign. That is in Dhaka. and 45% is seen more in Khulna division. Healthcare affordability and expenditure of the respondents. You can see that they are having, that is 68.9% of the people are really having difficulty in affording necessary medical care. And the annual household expense for medical care is seen mostly like 7,000 to 25,000 ranging. In Khulna and in Chittagong, it ranges from 10,000 to 40,000. Distribution of the respondents according to overall perceptions of health insurance. That is the Likert scale is disagree, neutral, and agree. We can see the organization. Organization should pay, that is the formal sector saying, it is they agreed to it. And every people will get the equal health service, the agree percentage was more. And the last one, equal right of access to healthcare services, you see there is, everybody agreed to that statement. So this is an overall picture, level of perceptions of the respondents regarding health insurance. From here we can see that 57.8% of the respondents had average perception, and good perception is about 21.4%, and poor perceptions is 20.8%. Institution referred by the respondents an amount willing to pay for the insurance coverage. That is 31.8% they agreed that both public and private hospitals they preferred for it, and willing to pay is about, the scheme payment is about 200 taka. Payment method preferred by the respondents, that is 70%, they thought about how to pay the scheme. They say that it should be through banking because they are not like feeling secure to pay through the other method. So that is the highest point is the 70% through banking, and the lowest is through organization, that is 6%. Preferred interval, that is how many times they will be paying the scheme, that is insurance charges by the respondent, that is once a month. That was the respondents, once a month they would like to pay the scheme, that is 46%, and the less is 5%, that is once in 3 months, others. Level of perceptions of the respondents according to sex, age group, position, and living areas. You can see the perceptions regarding the age, sex. The female has average, that is 63.2%. There we go. I mean, both the sex and female are holding more better perception regarding the health insurance. And the age is about 60.2. That is, they are holding the average perception. And job position among the office assistant supporting staff, the office assistant is having good average perceptions, that is 58.6%. And regarding the division among the 4 divisions, Khulna, Chittagong, and Rajshahi, 64.1% having average perception, that is Dhaka. Relationship between respondents' position and willingness to pay for health insurance. When we came, we found that significant, that is p-value is 0.05, considered that is willingness to pay and position of the respondents. Causes, when we asked why there is that they are not having the health insurance, 10.2% said they think that they don't want or they need any health insurance coverage because there is the perception is low, so they don't even know that what the benefit of having health insurance. So now come for the in-depth interviews, and these interviews were taken with the policymakers. So some of the statements I'm going to say. Perceptions of health insurance. Affluent people have options to go anywhere and they can buy any kind of treatment from anywhere. but the poor cannot afford to go anywhere rather than to government hospitals. They should be given support by the government. Health insurance should be family-wise, like family income and affordability. What I can pay, my office assistant cannot pay. So prepayment insurance scheme should be introduced considering the salary scale. And health insurance is not only for emergency, it should cover all kinds of treatments. Should have a structural health system or mechanism which rescues us with dignity, where we will contribute according to our affordability. When I suffer, other people are paying for me. So when other people suffer, I do pay for them. The government may give the chance to private sector to handle the national health insurance. I will encourage private sector to introduce health insurance, but that should be administered and monitored properly by the government. Insurance is not popular in our country because of the mistrust created by the service providers, particularly the life insurance companies. This mistrust has to be eliminated. Health insurance has to be made popular by campaigning through mass media, billboard, leaflet distribution in the public gathering, masjid, mandir. Religious leaders, teachers, community leaders may come forward to communicate the theme of health insurance to general people of the country. Workers may be aware about their safety in the workplace through accidental insurance coverage. So my conclusion is, people believe that health coverage should be for all. Every people should get the equal health services, but they are still not prepared for any prepayment health insurance system. Moreover, providers' negligence, low standard service, cheating, corruption, and lack of proper information have already created a bad impression in their mind about health insurance. So a proper health insurance scheme needs to be developed. First, considering people's choice, and trial should be given before launching to generate evidence and examine the suitability of the scheme. Tax payment system may be a good option, but there should be a strong accountability and transparency. Government has to work to gain the trust of the people first. So this is my recommendation based on my study. A suitable health insurance scheme should be initiated right away by the government considering the people's choice. The private sector may be subsidized in service providing, leading by the government. The quality of services of the government hospital should be improved so that people enjoy the health insurance services provided through the government facilities. The health service providers' attitude should be changed to increase the acceptance of the health insurance by general people. Different awareness programs should be initiated to increase the perceptions of the people regarding the health insurance. And I acknowledge, because this study was funded by James P. Brent School of Public Health and with the technical support of my university where I'm working, that is Bangladesh University of Health Sciences. And thank you very much, Professor Derry also, because under his guidance I could prepare the document. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna. So,
Sir, we would like to invite you to the stage first, and then our students can ask several questions.
okay, so the speakers can come to the stage, I guess, everyone. Check it all.
So, questions? Yes.
Who has some questions? Please go ahead.
Professor Ravi, my question is to you. You talked about so much about health security. Do you consider the common perception of human security or the common policies that we see in human security is an obstacle in the case of free mixing and globalization.
Yes, sir.
Free mixing and globalization.
Free mixing. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Free mixing means mixing it without any boundary, without any sort of insecurity inside your mind that how I am presenting myself or with this way can I talk to a person?
You want me to answer that? Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about globalization. Alright? What is globalization? Globalization is coming up with universal values. Alright? It's about standardization. It's about embracing new practices. Right? Now, usually globalization essentially brings. There are two things that globalization brings. One is primarily proliferation of the ICT. All right, information technology, information and communication technology, and also the dissemination of universalism or universal values. Alright, so these are the two major concepts. And it is the idea of globalization is to provide states with common values that they can place as the new norms of nationhood. What are the new norms of nationhood? Is respecting of human rights, taking care of their people, taking care of the environment, okay?
Sound policy.
Excuse me?
Must be sound policy.
Right. So these are essentially universalism, okay? But there is also the antithesis, as what Hegel says. Whenever there is a thesis, there is an antithesis, alright? The antithesis is they found out later, when we talk about globalization, that in order to reach this kind of universal concept, it's difficult. Because different parts of the world, different community have different demands, different concerns. So therefore, came the rise of regionalism. People are now talking not only about globalization, but coming together in terms of region, in terms of like-minded people, alright, people with common cross-boundary values, alright, maybe it's environment, things of that sort. So I think this is the contradiction that we have. Where does human security comes in? Very much it comes in everywhere, because now after the Second World War, probably after the Cold War, the debate in the last 15 years has 10-15 years has been about the planet. Correct? We have been talking about environment. When I was in school, I know that we don't talk about environment. The 48th Declaration of Human Rights, we didn't talk about environment because environment was an issue at that time. But there's a large concern now about the world that we live in. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there's also major concern about how we treat each other, right? Because of capitalism, because of different ideologies, political system. Now people are now moving. There are also movement that talks about spirituality, no longer in terms of traditional structured religion. All right, people are now questioning religion. So I think these are the new norms of the young generation over the last 15-20 years. And I see that this trends as improving or rather fostering human security. I don't know whether I answered your question. But I just whatever you want.
Any more questions?
I have spoken to.
Please stand up and speak aloud.
Okay. Can you suggest any economic policies to ensure the economic security for the human being?
Economic security.
Economic policies to ensure the economic security. Any policy recommendation?
Well, I'm not an economist, right? But I will tell you. Basically, I will tell you my experience in my country, right? One of the issues, it is sectoral, meaning which Bangladesh may have different problems than Malaysia. What we had in the problem in the 1960s was, like many other countries, we were agriculture economies. In the 1960s, Malaysia, Singapore was poor, right? Most people are involved in agriculture economies. We work in the plantations, right? Rubber, sugar, and all that. But as it moves along, what happened is we went into agriculture, manufacturing. We changed our education policy to go towards manufacturing. And the government set up systems and frameworks to promote manufacturing. So we went into manufacturing. We were the largest, until about 1980s, we were the largest producers of air conditioning in the world. Right? So we came like that. Then we moved on to what we call knowledge. Right now we talk about knowledge and digitization and all that. So the thing is about economic development. You need to look at what are the new things that comes into your region and improves life. Then you try to learn that. But this is not my words. This is the words of Lee Kuan Yew, who wrote in his book. Lee Kuan Yew is the Prime Minister of Singapore, who said that how does Singapore sustain and prosper? It's a small nation state, right? It's an island state, no resources whatsoever. It gets our water from Malaysia. We stop water, there's problem in Singapore. So how does it? So in the small nation state, he was telling that they were willing to learn. They were willing to learn. They were willing to embrace new technologies that came to the region. Number two is probably what Malaysia did was going, we had policies with regard to our SMEs, the small and medium industry. There was a lot of incentive investment into SME projects, alright? So I think this is the engine of growth in many developing countries is actually the SMEs, right? You trigger the SMEs will prosper, alright? Because the SMEs, they are able to create and they have to spend less on creativity, alright? Or rather they are more creative in that sense, alright? Compared to major conglomerates. So I think SMEs will create jobs. SME will create entrepreneurial skills. This is another thing, entrepreneurial development. These are some of the experience that we went through.
I think I'd like to add, at the beginning we talked about the Article 1 of the United Nations Human Rights Conventions is the right to self-determination. And in many of our experiences, economic well-being is key to self-determination. And in fact, you have your father of the MPH program here, Professor Niaz, who's an economist. Okay, there's also a lot, for example, gender equality. What's the sustainable method to gender equality? One of the proven methods is economic self-determination of women. And without economic self-determination, we don't have the means to do the things that we'd like to do. And even if we look at other continents such as Africa, it became the dependency syndrome. If you're only given overseas aid to patch up holes in your bucket, you never can build the bucket yourself. It actually, in order to be self-determined, you need to be able to build everything yourself, and then we come into the economic empowerment of traditional medicine that Anki was working on experiences there, where you see this decolonized approach, how it's important to be able to function. And I think that's a lot of you, if we really want